guys, welcome back to another video. So in the gym again, as you've seen from the title, going to be going over deadlifts and how to use lifting straps, just a few different lifting straps that I personally like to use that can help with your deadlifts. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That would really help us to know what you're enjoying. Obviously let me know below if this has been helpful for you and any other exercises or things that you want us to go over. So yeah, as I said, we're gonna do just show you some deadlift variations, just some cues that can be helpful that I use with my clients, that I remember myself, and then how to use just some lifting straps. I'll show you up close as I possibly can with that so you can see. So first of all, talking about using lifting straps or wrist support, they can really benefit your workouts and your lifts because it'll enable you to lift heavier and reduce fatigue. If you think about it, like if you're doing a deadlift, which is predominantly your lower body, yes, you're using all sorts of muscles, but a lot of the time, the thing that people fail on that lift with is their grip, because their wrists just can't support it. Think about how small your wrists are. I mean, especially in comparison to my legs, like your legs are going to be able to lift a lot heavier than what your wrists would, so they really will help with that. So I have a few different ones that I use with my clients, just depending on personal preference. So these ones are just the wrist support. So you loop them around your thumb and then you wrap them around your wrist. Oh, I've wrapped the wrong way every time. So around your wrist, and then they just stick like that. So they'll just help to give your wrist that extra bit of support. So I keep looking around just to see what Wesley's doing. He keeps bringing in sticks from outside. So yeah, they'll support your wrists. And then I have other ones that also help a bit more with grip. So these ones go around your wrist. Both of these are by RDX. I just got them off Amazon, good old Amazon Prime. So then you'll wrap them around the bar and hold onto that. So I'll show you an up-close video of how to put those on the bar after this. And then the other ones that I've got, these are actually just from My Protein. So these go around your wrist and they have an actual hook on them, so your hand will go around there, so they can help if you struggle here. They do a softer version that my friend's got, but these are like a harder one, which I didn't realise when I ordered them, but never mind. So these also support your wrists. So these are quite new actually. So go around your wrist with the Velcro, so nice and tight. So again, they're going to support your wrists and also help with that grip to just hold the barbell. So your hands and your arms anyway should just be like a hook. They're not really working so much. You're thinking more about pushing the ground away with your legs and putting most of your weight into those. So I'll show you how to use both of these wrist straps on the barbell before I go through cues and tips for your deadlifts. Right, so first of all, I'll show you with these lifting straps. So these are the ones that you wrap around the barbell. These can be a little bit harder to do, especially if you train on your own. It's a bit of a skill you have to master. So you want them nice and tight on your wrists. And then you're gonna come to the barbell. So making sure with any deadlift, you're starting with your feet under the barbell. So where you're gonna place your hand, you wrap it around. So putting it under, wrap round, and then just put your hand over the top of that. Now this is where it gets tricky with the other hand. You've got to try and do it one-handed. Now I just use my legs to help as much as possible with that. Again, it's a bit of a skill. It took us a little bit of a while to get used to that. And then just have your hand over, so like a hook, and then you can just, so that's just going to support your wrist a bit more and allow you to lift that bit heavier. Then I'll show you with the hook ones. So again, around your wrist, nice and tight to support those, and then you want the hooks around your hands like this. So you're gonna, again, start with your feet under the barbell in the position that you want them to be in. So I'm just in a bit more of a RDL stance. Then you're gonna hook the barbell under. So if you're doing an underhand grip or an overhand, like so, and then deadlifting. So they can help if you struggle with the calluses, I think is how you say it, on your hands, just to give that bit of extra grip strength, so they feel pretty good because they're really like hard, but they do the softer versions of these as well. Actually just found the softer version that my friend's got. So if you see, this one's more hard like a hook, and then this one, so it'll do the same job. Either or would be fine. I think it's just personal preference. Like I've just slowly built these up over the years, just a collection. As I say, like I use them with my clients, and it's just what they prefer to use. Some people don't like these hook ones, they just think it feels weird, whereas some prefer this because it helps with the hands. Even just some gloves would help if you wanted to just wear wrist support and then wear some like lifting gloves just to stop it hurting as much. There can really help with your grip, especially I find with clients when everyone gets sweaty, their grip goes on the barbell. But I definitely notice a difference in my lifts and a difference in my clients' lifts because they're not thinking about their grip or their wrists hurting, and they're actually concentrating on the muscles that should be used. So there's definitely benefits to using them if you've never used them before. As I say, just in terms of the ones that you wrap around, and even these ones, it's just getting used to them, but they really can help to, you know, make good progress with your lifts and really focus more on the muscles that should be working rather than thinking about the pain in your wrists and your grip strength. Right, so on to some deadlift cues and tips and forms. So I'll show you from the front angle first, and then I'll also show you from the side so you can see, because that's really important with this movement. The deadlift is a hip hinge movement. It's not an up and down. So the first tip and cue that I would say is imagine you going backwards and forwards with your hips, not down and up. That is more for a squat, for a knee dominant movement. This is a posterior chain hamstring dominant movement. Obviously different deadlifts will target muscles more, but you're predominantly going to target that posterior chain, so the back basically, and more so your hammies. I'll show you with an RDL lift, probably my favourite deadlift, but I will try and show just a few different ones, just to explain a couple of different things. So obviously the bend in your knees, slightly different, and your stance. So starting off with the RDL. So you want your feet about hip width apart for this one. You want to have soft knees. So your legs are staying relatively straight on this. The more you kind of bend your knees, the more you're going to recruit your glutes. The straighter your legs stay, the more you're going to recruit your hamstrings. So you want to have your hands about shoulder width apart for most deadlift variations. Normally try and see, like on this barbell, if you can see from there, there's like the rough bit in the middle and the smooth bit, and then it goes like to the rougher part again. I try and have my hands on there so they're about the same width apart, and that's a good marker. And most barbells are like this anyway, so you've got a good like starting point. So when you come down to the barbell, you want to be, so hands in the right position, and you want to get your shoulder blades back and locked in there. Your arms and your back are going to stay in that position. You're not going to let anything else move except your hips. So then you stand upright, and then, as I said, thinking about going backwards, rolling that barbell down, so bum back, bum back, bum back, drive up. So most of that weight's going to be sat in your heels, and drive up. So you're keeping your knees soft all the time, you're not locking out even at the top. And again, you're not hyperextending that back at the top so that you don't hurt your back. So everything's staying nice and straight. So I'll show you that from the side. Let's turn to the side. So feet under the barbell to start with any deadlift variation. Hands on. So then keep those shoulders back and down. And then you're gonna drive up. So think about going back, keep that barbell nice and close, drive up. So back, 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 forwards, back, 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 forwards. Back staying nice and straight, keep your gaze down, keep that spine nice and neutral throughout the lift. So a good tip to think about is, some good cues that work, is thinking about pushing your bum back towards the wall behind you and your chest to the floor. So showing you without the barbell, bum back. So you're keeping that gaze down, as I say, keep the spine neutral. Bum back, chest to the floor, and then stand up. Another good one is thinking about shutting the car door with your bum. So imagine you've just been food shopping, you've got all the bags in your hands, and you're just gonna shut the door. Okay, that sometimes helps with people. And another one is imagining that you are stuck in sand from the knees down. So you want to be thinking about keeping those shins parallel with the wall in front. So nothing's moving past here. It's mainly your hips and upper legs that are working. And as I say, your back stays nice and straight. So if you think about that, because if you were squatting, your knees would be coming forward, then that's a knee dominant movement, whereas this is a hip dominant movement. So your hips are moving. If you think about your hips moving rather than your legs, that can really help. So if you are going down in a squat, that's your legs going. Deadlift is definitely more your hips. So thinking about pushing back, driving up, pushing back, driving up. So as I said, you can. The big thing about this movement is squeezing at the top. So people squeeze like that. That is too much. Your back's going back, it's putting too much pressure on your back, which is what we don't want. So you go down, again you're keeping that back nice and straight. So you can still squeeze, there I'm squeezing, and back down. So a common thing that people think is that even with a squat, this is similar, that at the top there, that squeeze is where the glutes are getting worked. It's actually not, it's at the bottom point here because they're stretched out the most. So this is the bit where you want to get as much range of motion. Again, you could probably go lower, but that's when my shoulders start to go. That is a bit more of a straight leg deadlift variation where you can go that little bit further forward, but as a general rule for deadlifts, you don't really want to be moving your lats, your shoulder blades, you want to be keeping that back nice and flat. So if you're going and your back's on an arch, you've gone way past your range of motion, you want to just be going to here and then back up. Okay, so think about a good full range of motion, but not going past that where you're not working the right muscles anymore. So bum back and up. So as I say, that's where they're getting worked the most, the glutes, because they're stretched out here. And then you can do a little squeeze. There's no harm, and obviously a squeeze is similar to like a hip thrust. That's where your glutes will be working, but there's no actual load on your glutes in this vertical position, so it's not going to do as much as what hip thrust would do when you're in the horizontal position. Okay, so yes, you can squeeze, just don't be going back like this, because that's going to put too much tension on your back. You really do not want to hurt your back at all. So another key thing, put my teeth back in, that is definitely something to think about, and another key thing to remember with deadlifts. So just some other stances as well. So there's just the conventional deadlift, just a standard deadlift. Again, feet are about hip width apart, your arms are shoulder width apart, and then you bend more at the knees. Again, though you're not squatting, you're still focusing on that hip hinge. So if I show you from the side, still pushing your hips back, you just have more of a bend in your legs. Okay, and then another stance would be a sumo. So your feet are wider than hip width apart. This is going to target your hamstrings more. So hands are still going to be around shoulder width apart, and you've still got that hip hinge. Sorry, Wazzy wants us to throw his toy. Go! The challenges of being a dog mom, a deadlift mom, a dog mom and doing deadlifts. So from the side, nice wide stance. So again, you still keep hinging. All the other cues are still the same. Keep it down, nice flat back, button back, and chest to the floor. It's just a different stance to have a bit more of a focus on different muscles. I'd say a conventional deadlift is going to target your quads that little bit more. But as I said, it's still predominantly a posterior chain, so glutes and hamstrings. Obviously you're going to work your back, your lats, pretty much everything with a deadlift, which is why it's such a good compound, but a one that is so key. I mean, obviously your form's key with any lift, but this can be the hardest because there's so many things to remember. So one key thing I would definitely say is to keep the load nice and light, really focus on that mind-muscle connection, going nice and slowly. Even just practice body weight like this, or some really light dumbbells. It's really important to nail your form on this one. Hello, darling. Nail your form on this one before you start lifting up that load So when your form starts to go, this can be one that can really hurt your back, which is the last thing that you want to do, because that can cause ongoing problems. It can affect your lifting, and as I say, it can actually just stop you from training altogether, which is definitely not what you want. So that same applies with any lift. You don't want to be going so heavy and ego lifting that you'll end up with muscle imbalances or an injury, and that can take a lot longer to fix and correct. So a few just little tips and hopefully things that will help with this one. As I said, the deadlift cues, there's a lot to remember. You've got to think about your upper So hopefully you found this helpful. Please let us know below if there's any other lifts that you'd like us to go through. I'm hopefully just going to keep going through some compound type ones just to focus on key cues and helpful tips, as the compound lifts are just so good for working all your major muscles and especially your core. If you want a nice strong core, like the compound lifts are better than just doing crunches. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.